in my head when they go away. But then you hear that whisper or that guilt in your chest. But you haven't even found it yet. Well, you're not alone, and you love. Someone died on the cross for us. No, we aren't perfect, and we will make mistakes. But Jesus died so sins can be erased. God gives us mercy. God gives us grace. He's there, and He does care. He wants us to be okay. He wants us to be safe, and He'll help us along the way. When we feel lost, God is there, and we do matter. God cares, and yes, you are loved by God, and God says you are worthy of His love. No, you're not alone, and you are loved. Someone died on the cross for us. No, we aren't perfect, and we will make mistakes. I know what you're thinking. How can I be changed? How can I turn away and stop this pain? I'm just a burden, not needed in this world. But listen to what I have to say, and listen to God along the way. Things can change, because God makes change. So listen closely, you're not alone. God is on His throne, waiting for you with open arms. No, you're not a burden, you are in pain. But God is the way. God is the way. Thank you.
Well, good morning. Good morning. Welcome to service today. And it's good to have some familiar faces back in the crowd. And of course, earlier this week, our governor made some allowances for us to be able to meet back. And I didn't know, I figured we would have some that would still be staying at home and some that would come. And so we wanted to do the best that we could. And so we're thankful you're here. And we're still live streaming for those that are at home. And I even had a lady from Texas contact me this week and asked me to continue streaming. And so we want to continue to do what we can to get the Word of God out. If you have your Bibles, turn with me to Psalm 125. Psalm 125. And we'll be looking at verse 1 specifically this morning, but we will go ahead and read all 5 verses here in just a few moments. Of course, today is Mother's Day, and it's already been said a couple times, but happy Mother's Day to all you mothers this morning. A mom in a family really gives a sense of stability, brings things together, and I'm thankful for my mom. And, I think a lot of things that a mom does at times go unnoticed and underappreciated, and we want to say thank you and happy Mother's Day today. And that kind of was a springboard this morning for the message and the topic today, looking at I shall not be moved in Psalm 125. Stability is something that has been admired for years. It's something that people strive for. And you can look at the Rock of Gibraltar. It has been referred to many times as a picture of stability. And we always respect anything or anyone that's stable and can be counted on. And people have a need for assurance, just as Kara kind of sang about just a few moments ago, and to put herself out there that way, and to write her heart and to share it with us and to give God praise. What a great thing. But David states here in Psalm 125 that we can be as Mount Zion, which cannot be moved. But as we look around, we have to admit that there are only a few that are that way. So let's look at Psalm 125, and we'll read all 5 verses this morning, and we'll get into the message here. It says, "They that trust in the Lord shall be as Mount Zion, which cannot be moved, but abideth forever. As the mountains are round about Jerusalem, so the Lord is round about his people from henceforth, even forever. For the rod of the wicked shall not rest upon the lot of the righteous, lest the righteous put forth their hands unto iniquity. Do good, O Lord, unto those that be good, and to them that are upright in their hearts. As for such as turn aside unto their crooked ways, the Lord shall lead them forth with the workers of iniquity, but peace shall be upon Israel." Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we come today and we thank you just for the opportunity to come together today and to worship and to lift our voices together, to sing your praises, to open our Bibles and to study your word today. God, I pray that you would bless our time, that you would be honored in all that's said and done, and we want to give you all the praise that you're so worthy of today. And we ask these things in Jesus' precious name. Amen. Well, kind of as we consider the songs that we sang this morning, obviously leaning on the everlasting arms, standing on a solid rock, I am, and then the song that Kara even shared, none of those, okay, I might have picked out the first 2 songs. I'll be honest there. I picked out the first 2 songs because that's kind of, as I was studying this week, those 2 songs came to my mind, and then Amber added that one, and then Kara with hers. And you see kind of a flow of how God kind of puts a service together and really brings things to a sense of stability. And there is no doubt in my mind that in our world today there is a great lack of stability that exists in many people's lives. Instability is something that can manifest itself in a couple of different ways, and probably the most prominent way is a physical way. A lot of people look for physical stability. And of course, with the current state of affairs with our economy and the pandemic, and people's 401ks have been dwindling, and retirement funds are disappearing, and Social Security, now they're saying we may not even make it another 10 years, and there's just this overwhelming sense of instability in our world today. Whenever we think about physical stability, of course, those things being monetary, but the very word makes us think of things not good. The word instability. In chemistry, for example, an unstable compound is one which cannot be counted on to hold together, and it may easily separate and in some cases even explode because of its instability. Buildings which are unstable are condemned because they're afraid that they might collapse. People can be unstable, and they often switch sides on an issue, or maybe they sway back and forth with the winds of whatever happens to be going on in popular culture. Some people can't hold a steady job, and they're constantly moving from one place to the other. There's a lack of physical stability in our world today. But I would suggest even more so than the physical stability, there's a lack of spiritual stability that affects and plagues the people of the earth today. Right. Spiritual instability reflects uncertainty and doubt. And these people have no sure foundation on which they will stand when hard times hit. when retirement funds deplete, and when health fades, and when things collapse around them, they have no sure foundation on which they stand. The Apostle Paul expresses a desire that all will come to a place where we won't be carried away with every wind of doctrine in Ephesians chapter 4:14. And really, that's the place of stability that God wants us to get to. There is a great lack of stability in our world today, both physical and spiritual. But what causes that? What causes the instability that exists in our world today? I believe that those things are caused, that instability is caused by fear and doubt. Overwhelmingly, fear and doubt bring about this unstable environment, and that's why many people today will not take a stand. They're afraid of man. You know, with everything going on today, and obviously we probably will never know the truth about what happened and whether or not this came from Wuhan, or whether or not an American was behind it, or whether or not all these conspiracy theories that we hear swirling around the pandemic and why it's here. We may not ever know. But we aren't supposed to be afraid of him. We're not supposed to have doubts about ourselves and doubts about our beliefs. We're not supposed to not fear God. And all those things are things that we waver and we falter in, and we misstep in, and we find ourselves falling into the fear of man and doubting ourselves and doubting our beliefs and whether or not God really exists, or even if he cares. And many today just quite simply don't fear God. They don't believe he exists. They don't believe in a life after death. They don't believe that there is a design order of which the world and the universe has been placed into the position that it is today. But let me suggest we see the need, and the need being great. We see the cause of the instability. But there is a great need for stability. We have a lack of, I said need a while ago, I got into my second point already. There is a need for stability in our world today. Why? Why is stability needed? It builds confidence, right? It gives us a place to hang our hat. And when something or someone is stable, you find that it builds confidence in their person. Confidence that there is something that they can count on. Not something or someone which will let them down. This light out here on the corner of the yard, there's a pole there with a security light on it, and it hasn't worked in quite some time. And earlier, probably a month or two ago, I bought a solar-powered security light, and it's motion detected, which I didn't realize when I bought it. You got to be within like 20 feet of it for it to come on. So you got to walk to the basketball goal to get it to come on to shine light on the yard. But you got time to get over to the door whenever it's on. But I was out there, and I backed my truck over there, and I got this long ladder we've got in here, and I propped it up on the telephone pole, and I told Amber to come out, and she was holding the ladder. You know, a flat surface on a round surface, and somebody my size at the top, it's kind of doing this, right? Yeah. And she said, "This isn't safe. This is stupid. You need to get down from there. You're going to get hurt. You're going to fall. My arms are killing me." Right? All of those things were said. The ladder, to say the least, was unstable, right? Brother Kenny come by on the tractor, and he said, "You know, I don't think they're using the backhoe very much longer over here. You might want to go get the backhoe." It didn't take him very long to assess the situation and say, "That's not real safe," right? Which in my mind, I was thinking, I trust the ladder more than I trust my wife at the controls of the backhoe. But she did a good job, and we got the light up, and then she complained because it doesn't work the way it was hoped to work, right? But instability. A lot of times things happen in our lives that are out of our control, And we put our faith and we put our hope and we put our trust in those things because we need something that we can count on. It builds confidence in our lives. Now, there's no doubt that the backhoe was a lot better option, and I went and got it, I put it in place, and then I brought her up on the backhoe, and I said, okay, now this is the only thing that you need to touch in here, right here. You pull it back and it goes up, you turn it this way and it pulls it that way, you turn it that way and it goes out. Don't dump me on my head, right? I was unsure. But I put my faith and my trust in her to have paid attention in that little 20-second demonstration.
Well, it helped that you gave me hand signals while doing it too.
And as we went up in the air, my confidence was bolstered in her because I was able to kind of relax when I noticed that she was actually doing things the way that I had desired. Confidence is also something that others must find in us before we can help them. You know, I definitely wasn't going to put one of the boys up there because they don't pay attention to nothing, right? They weren't going to get in the backhoe and run the operation. But through the years, I've come to a place with Amber that I can count on her, and sometimes she does some squirrely things, and I'll be honest, I get frustrated. But she's never let me down when it comes to preserving my life. She's usually over cautious when it comes to preservation of life and causing harm. And it's something that I hope to find in other people as well, not just when it comes to hanging a line or lifting me up in the air. But confidence is something that I hope to find in other people when it comes to encouraging me in the faith. And coming alongside me in the ministry and loving on us as a family. And it's something that I hope that you guys can look to us in the same way and hope that you have confidence in us to do the same for you. Because confidence comes to us if we build that relationship with one another, right? We do things and we build the trust. But the stability there. Whenever I was a kid growing up, I didn't know anything different, right? But we had a pastor about every 2 years. We'd get a new pastor at our church. There was no stability in the church, right? Because the pastor would be there, and then he would leave, and he would go somewhere else, and then they would start all over. I didn't know any different. I just thought that's the way it was supposed to be. When I went to college, a couple of pastors there in the Oklahoma City metro area, I found out they'd been at their churches for 30 years, and I thought, holy cow, I didn't know you could do that. You know, it makes a big difference in a church when there's stability in the church.
Right.
There's a need for stability. There's a need for confidence. And stability builds that, but there's also a need for assurance. And this morning, I want us to understand that stability gives assurance. We are living in times when we're not sure about very many things. But whenever I was in school and we were learning world history, one of the things that we learned in world history was that at the end of World War II, when the troops come to Berlin, that they found Adolf Hitler in a bunker and he had shot himself, right? That's the general consensus. But you know, there's actually evidence that maybe he escaped Berlin and went to Argentina. I never knew that. But there's not really that great assurance there whenever we begin to look at the evidence. We're living in times when we can't be sure about a lot of things. Are we being told the right thing? Are we being told the wrong thing? But when we're stable, people can be given assurance, and it will be helpful for them to have assurance. And you know what? Of all the things in this world, the one thing that I am absolutely positively sure of is that this is God's infallible word, and it can be trusted with my life.
Amen.
And it brings stability and assurance and confidence into my unstable life. Not only does it build confidence and assurance, but it promotes endurance. We know that something is unstable will not last. But we also know that when something is built correctly, when it is built on a solid foundation, that it will stand the test of time. It's something that will be around for a long time. And we talked about mentioned the Rock of Gibraltar a few moments ago at the beginning of the message. There's actually an insurance company that uses this as their logo. Anybody know the name of the insurance company? Prudential. Prudential Insurance uses the Rock of Gibraltar as their logo, and that Rock of Gibraltar has been part of their logo since they were even established way back, like over 100 years ago. They've been in existence. It's a picture of the stability that they strive to have as a company. For us today, a stable person is one that we can always trust. Now, here's the thing. How many of us are 100% trustworthy? None of us, right? We all falter. We all make mistakes. We all fail. And you can trust me, and you can place just one of these days, you may trust me to do something, and I may not live up to that expectation. I might fail you. But there's one person who walked the face of this earth who never failed. He never let anyone down. And that person was Jesus Christ. That's the truth.
Right.
He was tempted in all ways as we were, and he passed with flying colors. And when he had all of heaven at his disposal, he put it aside. He endured the cross and despised the shame that was ours. And he's seated today on the right hand of the Father. He's one that we can trust. And when we look at the world today, and you know, people fail us, and we can put our trust there if we want to. And some things we feel like we're kind of forced to, but in all those things, they're unstable. But one thing remains faithful and true, and that is the gospel of Jesus Christ. There is a lack of stability in our world. There is a great need for it. I've already let the cat out of the bag, but there is a way of stability today. And that way, number one, comes from a great source, and that is none other than God himself. We need someone to look to that is stable, and God is our source. We can look to him. We can follow his example. Boldness comes from him. But in order to look to him, in order to find that in him, we have to come to a place that we trust him. We already talked about how stability builds confidence and it builds assurance, and those things are just other ways of saying trust. Do we trust him? There's no other person in history who has been written about more. There is no other subject in history that has more evidence for the factuality of the claims that it states. Genuine trust in the Lord brings stability to a life that is unstable. Now, does that mean that whenever I decided to give my life to Jesus, that my life since then has just been easy street? No. I have wavered. I have faltered. I have wandered. He has been rock steady the whole way. And I come back, and I come back, and I fold, and I kneel down, and I pray, and I ask for forgiveness, and I trust in him with my life. Much the way that a young child does with their mother. Moms are special. A couple weeks ago, Toby was out in the yard with us. We were out working, and he got stung right here with a red wasp, right there. Mom gave him a popsicle and a Band-Aid, and it was all right. He trusted. Later that day, he was fine, ain't nothing going on. I said, let me have that Band-Aid. Let me take that off. No! Mom put that on there, and it's okay. See, there's some things that kids just trust mom a little more in than they do dad. And that's okay. I think that's the way that God designed it. But you know what? Even moms can make mistakes. God never did. He never has. And he never will. And we can trust him. 100% we can trust him.
Amen.
And then there's the topic of fear. We've already talked about how it's unhealthy to have fear of what humanity can do or say about you or to you. But do you understand this morning that there is a healthy fear that should exist in the life of every individual, and that is a healthy fear of who God is? We need to understand that he is the creator of the universe. He is the giver of life. He is the sustainer of everything that we have around us. He gives order to the universe. He gave his son to die for us. And one day, we will stand before him. And we will answer for the life that we've led. And a healthy fear of who God is prepares us for that moment. See, the one who fears God has a solid foundation, and they build thereupon. And when we build on a solid foundation, it stands the test of time. You know what? There's no greater test than eternity. There's no greater foundation on which to build than that of Jesus Christ. And if we will build on that foundation, we can be like the Mount of Zion, which will not be moved, but will abide forever. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we come today and we thank you for your word today. God, we thank you for our moms and the stability that they bring to our lives. And God, we know that we live in a world that is uncertain and can be difficult to find a place of trust and stability. God, we need to look no further than you. Help us to have that confidence and faith in you that we need. Help us to build on that relationship as we begin our life anew in you. May we build with confidence a building of faith in our life that will stand the test of time. God, we love you today, and we thank you for all that you do for us. We ask these things in Jesus' precious name. Amen. Amber's going to lead us in a song of invitation today. Wherever you're at, if you feel the need to pray, maybe you just want to thank God for a mom in your life who brought stability. Maybe there's someone who stood in that void in your life to give the stability. We've already established that we're all human and we all make mistakes and there's no one perfect. And the reality is that sometimes mom's not perfect, right? I'm thankful today that there's a God in heaven who does. He loves us. He cares for us, and he forgives our faults and our failures. And I'm thankful today that he overlooks them when he forgives them, unlike we do at times. Maybe there's a special woman in your life, or maybe in your own life you're dealing with this feeling of instability, or maybe there's just that person that you feel led to pray for today. Whatever the need is, we invite you to pray as Amber sings.
On the everlasting
thank you for being with us today and joining us, those that are online. We hope that you've been encouraged by God's word today. You can find stability in an uncertain world, a world that seems to be going the wrong direction more and more, it seems, but we can still find stability in Jesus Christ. We want to thank you for being here today. So for the month of April, we typically try to recognize our birthdays when we're here, and we've been kind of out of pocket and doing things different. I know we're in May now, but I want to recognize our April birthdays. Even if they're not here, we'll mention them, and maybe they'll see it online. But we want to say happy birthday to Keegan Haskins and Rhonda Holland and Doris Oliver, Rex Oliver, and then Byron Ringland had a birthday as well, if you didn't know. So we want to wish all of them a happy birthday, and we also want to wish a happy anniversary to Eugene and Jeanette Conner. So we love everybody, and we hope that you have a great, blessed Mother's Day. And we will be back here on Wednesday evening. If you want to join us here for Bible study Wednesday evening, we'll continue to stream that online as well. But Wednesday evening, it'll be the same observations as far as coming in with the hand sanitizer and the spacing and the masks and all that. So you do what you feel you need to do. So we understand. So anything else that we need to make mention of this morning? Well, let's stand.
Offering plates at the back. I don't know if
Oh
you-
yeah, offering plate in the back. That was one of the governor's things. Don't pass the offering plate. So it's back there on your way out. If you need to put your offering in the plate, it's back there in the back. So
Kara goes to the doctor in the morning.
Kara goes to the doctor in the morning. Janet, I got Jeanette right here in my hand. Janet's got a procedure to do Tuesday, right? And she's getting tested today and make sure she's COVID free and ready to go for that. So we want to remember her as well.
She is COVID free.
COVID free, all right. Was there any doubt? Pray for Kara. She's going to Children's tomorrow. Look at her shoulder some more. Hopefully, tell you what, that girl's had a rough year with that shoulder. And we want to pray for her. They'll find something and hopefully be able to get her fixed up. So. All right, well, let's be dismissed in prayer. We want to thank you for being here. Brother Kenny, will you close us in prayer?
Father, we thank you for this day and the opportunity to come back and to worship. And Father, we realize it's just not here. We worship you everywhere we're at. We want to lift up the holy and blessed name of Jesus to get himself for us. He is our rock. He's our shield. He's our fortress. And we thank you, Father, that you love us. Please remember, help us, Father, to stand up and hold the banner high. May we glorify you in our life. And we give you praise in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.